Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to wish everyone a very happy Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti. Today, we would be discussing about the philosophy advocated by the revered Adi Shankaracharya, that is, the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. Before understanding Advaita, we need to know what is Dvaita or dualism. Dvaita is the differentiation between the so called small I and the large I. What is the small I? The small I is a self ego or the ahankara, so it is called, which identifies itself with this body, this mind, and our intellect. While the big I represents the highest metaphysical reality that we call as Brahman, God, Parameshwara. What Dvaita sees is that these two are separate. There is a creator, which is the larger I, which creates the smaller I, and they both are different. One is the cause, the other is the effect. The Advaita says that they both are but one and the same. How is it? This we understand through the teachings of the revered Adi Shankaracharya. To understand the philosophy further, we need to understand a few terms that we quietly come across while going through Advaita philosophy. The first and foremost is Brahman, which is the ultimate metaphysical reality, which is the Naimitya Upadana Karana for all creation. Then is the Atma, or the so called Jivatma, or the soul. The word soul is often confusing. Jivatma, in simpler terms, refers to our Sukshma and Karana Sarira that actually transmigrates. Then comes the term Maya, which is often used by Shankaracharya, which is the illusory power, which is a veil of ignorance that hides the ultimate reality. The three levels of reality or the sattas that we need to know, that is the Pratibhasika Satya, then we have the Vyavaharika Satya, and then we have the Paramarthika Satya. And the ultimate goal, that is to reach moksha, liberation from the cycle of life and death, enlightenment so called. Then we have the three states of existence that we often come across, that is the Jagruta Avastha, the Swapna Avastha, and the Sushupti or the deep sleep. The three types of shariras that we come across in Advaita philosophy that is often mentioned, that's the Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, as well as the Karana Sharira. The Pancha Koshas that form these, both the Sukshma and the Karana Sharira, that is the Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, as well as the Anandamaya Kosha. And finally, the most important, the Om and the Chin Mudra. The Om is actually very well dealt in the Mandukya Upanishad. As already mentioned, the term Advaita means literally not two. There is no small I, there is no large I. The Jivatma and the Paramatma are but one and the same. So the main thesis is that the individual soul and the highest reality are one and the same. The famous quote by Adi Shankaracharya, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jiva Brahmaiva Napara, that is, Brahman is the only truth. The world is but an appearance, and there is no difference between the individual Jivatma and the Brahman. The word mithya doesn't mean false. You can have the truth which exists. You can have something which is false, which doesn't exist. You can have a illusory mithya. So the Jivatma is also does exist. It is a reality, but it is a dependent reality, a mithya, and doesn't have any independent existence other than the Brahman itself, for they both are one and the same. And it is only through the wheel of ignorance that one considers one as many. This is how Shankara relates that both the Jivatma and the Paramatma are but one and the same. So what Advaita Vedanta really aspires to teach us is that the whole existence is but one truth and reality. And what we see as the universe, ourselves, others, they are mere appearances which are caused because of the illusory power of Maya. And this one reality, the Brahman, itself appears to us as various souls, various Atmas, the universes, etc. But again, to understand this, we need to know the three levels of reality. The first and foremost is the Pratibhasika Satya, that is what we see in dreams and hallucinations. In a dream, whenever we are chased by a tiger or a lion, we are scared, we run for our lives. For us, at that moment, in the dream state, for the dream person, that is the reality. He doesn't believe anything outside that and has to save his life. So this is the Pratibhasika reality, or the Pratibhasika subjective reality. This occurs in dreams and hallucination. But when a person awakens up, when a person gets up, he realizes that this was just an illusion, a dream, and not a reality. And what he now comes to is what we call as the Vyavaharika Satya, or the empirical truth. It is the day-to-day world we experience when we are awake, and that is real for our daily transactions. But one needs to understand, like for a Pratibhasika Satya, there exists a Vyavaharika Satya when one awakens. Similarly, when one gets an enlightenment from the Vyavaharika Satya, we do get the Paramarthika Satya, that is the enlightenment, liberation, where the only truth, the highest truth, is nothing but the Brahman. And from the point of the Paramarthika Satya, the whole world is but an illusion, is a beautiful play of Maya that was happening just like the dream for a person with Vyavaharika Satya. And if we understand these three levels of the truths, or reality, or Satta, it becomes easier to comprehend the further philosophy. After realizing that the three states, and we live in this present Vyavaharika Satya, we need to understand in this Vyavaharika Satya that what are the three bodies that we have, and what are the three states of our existence. The three bodies can be classified as the Sthula Sharira, that's the gross body, which consists of our limbs, karmendriyas, and other parts, which is made up of fat, muscles, marrow, bones, and many such things. Then comes the Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body. The Sukshma Sharira is what is not visible to us. It is moksha, subtle. Here we have got the mind, the intellect, the various circulatory digestive functioning systems, and the Karana Sharira, or the causal body, which is the main cause for the transmigration of our soul, or the Jivatma. The Sukshma and the Karana Sharira can further be classified as having Panchakoshas, or the five coverings which cover the ultimate Atman. The Panchakoshas being the Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, and finally the Anandamaya Kosha. So these are like the sheets of coverings which cover the Atman. And what transmigrates is the Jivatma. And this body of ours undergoes three states. One is the Jagrata Avastha, or the awake state, where the gross body is the predominant form. The other two exist, but the predominant action is from the gross body. Then when we go to sleep, we go into the first state, that is the Swapnavastha, or the dreamlike state, where the gross body stops functioning and the Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and the other koshas take over. But there comes a stage where we go into deep sleep. And in this deep sleep, all the stages go into a deep slumber, a deep state of non-existence, and what we experience is a blissful, peaceful sleep which we have no recollection about. Not that it doesn't exist, not that there is a void. We experience something beautiful. So when we wake up, we are fresh, we are happy, and we do say, no, there was nothing, but that nothingness is also experienced, and this is Shushupti. So these are the three states and the three bodies that this body experiences. The Stula and the Karana Sharira, all these are materialistic parts which forms the Jivatma. They are formed from the Panchabhutas, or the five elements, and these, after further Panchikaranas, they form the gross body, or the Sthula Sharira. After death, the physical death as we experience, this Sthula Sharira goes and mixes with its in the universe. While the Jivatma, which is made of the Panchabhuta, which is still materialistic, it transmigrates. This is an endless cycle of life and death, birth and death, which causes immense sorrow and suffering. And the reason for this continuation is the force of karma, of unfulfilled desires, of unfulfilled wishes that leads to transmigration, and the effect of which we have to experience in a life again and again. The karma can be of various types, the sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, but that's for some other time. But this forces the jivatma or the soul to transmigrate again and again. And liberation from this cycle is what we call as the moksha. Once we have known the existence of this small I in the form of the sthula sharira, the sukshma and the karana sharira and the different states of existence, we'll come to the big I, the reality of the Brahman. There are gods of various philosophies. Many of them describe them as nirakara, nirguna, nirakara, saguna, sakara, saguna, and so on. Nirakara is formless, nirguna is without qualities or attributes. What the ultimate reality, this Brahman that we talk, is nirguna, nirakara, the ultimate reality without attributes, forms, or qualities. And when such a thing exists, it is beyond the comprehension and beyond human speech and beyond the understanding of human mind. So how does one know when it is beyond? Well, we'll try to deal it in the next few slides. The nature of this reality is said to be Satchidananda. Sat is truth, it exists, it's the only reality. Chit is consciousness, awareness. This truth, this reality, this Sat is aware of itself and the surroundings. And Ananda is bliss or happiness or contentment beyond which nothing else is needed. Mind you, these are not parts of Brahman, but the Brahman is this. The whole Brahman is Sat, the whole Brahman is Chit, and the whole of the Brahman is nothing but Ananda or bliss. Shivoham, Shivoham. So once we have seen the small and the big I, how is it that these two appear to be different? Well, the Advaita claims that the small I is nothing but the big I, but then how come we experience it as difference? The concept put forth is that of Maya, or the illusory power, the creative power of the Brahman itself that makes this one appear as many. Maya is nothing but ignorance which conceals the true nature of the reality and projects a false one. The analogy of the rope and the snake is aptly depicts the same. In the dark, one mistakes a rope often for a snake or some other animal. It just needs the light of knowledge to show that it's but a rope. So did the snake disappear? No, the snake was never there. It was just an appearance. Similarly to the darkness, the Maya veils what we truly are. That is the Satchidananda Brahman. We are like the movie which is being played on a 3D screen. The movie is but an appearance. What the ultimate reality behind it is the screen which plays the movie. So under the influence of Maya, an individual Jivatma continues to perform karmas, adding to his list of karmas and unfulfilled desires, leading to an endless cycle of births and deaths, leading to sorrow. The way out of this sorrow is believed to be moksha or liberation, understanding the true self. There are various ways which are being advocated, like the dhyana yoga, meditation, raja yoga, karma yoga, which is the process of selfless service. Then we have the bhakti yoga, the devotional service, and finally jnana yoga, which has been clearly been advocated by Shankaracharya ji. But fourfold qualifications are necessary if you want to get the jnana yoga. Jnana yoga is not just knowing, listening. It is realizing the true self. It is living the true self. And the fourfold qualifications that are needed are viveka, vairagya, shamadhi, shadasampattu, and mumukshutvam. Once having these qualifications, one can proceed further in the path of jnana yoga to realize moksha and get enlightenment. So, a person who has these fourfold qualifications of Viveka, Vairagya, Shadasampatti, Samadhi, Shadasampatti, and Mumukshutvam, he undergoes a series of process. He has to undergo Shravana, that is listening, reading teachings of Upanishad from a well-known, understand it from a well-known guru, teacher. Then one has to reflect and think about these teachings, because it's very easy to fall back into ignorance again and again. Once it is done, one has to understood, one has to perform deep meditation to realize this truth. And once this truth is realized, the Jnana Yoga dawns and enlightenment is achieved. The goal, what is achieved, is represented aptly by the four Mahavakyas of the four Vedas. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that Brahman. This Jivatma is the Brahman. Sarva Vidam Brahmasmi. Then the Tattvamasi, the teacher tells a student that you are that Brahman. And the student realizes Aham Brahmasmi. Pradnyanam Brahma, your consciousness, what you are, is but Brahman. I am Atma Brahman. This Jiva, this whole body is nothing but an appearance of this Brahman. And these are the four Mahavakyas that one realizes as the core teaching of Adi Shankaracharya. Once achieved, one doesn't go back, or one doesn't slip back into ignorance. One puts an end to the endless cycles of life and death. So the philosophy of Adi Shankaracharya can be easily summed up into two entities, the Om and the Chin Mudra. The word Om is made up of and a silence beyond that. The word represents the Jagrata Avasthi and the Sthula Sharira. The U represents the Sukshma Sharira and the Swapna Avasthi, while the Ma represents the Karana Sharira and the Sushupti. What follows is a peaceful silence which represents the Brahman. Not that the Brahman was not there in the Om. The silence was there even when the Om was there, but becomes prominent when the Om dissolves into the silence. So, this is beautifully explained by the Mandukya Upanishad and is a must read if we want to understand the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta. If we consider our 5 fingers, the lateral 3 fingers as the Jagrut, the Swapna and the Sushupti Avasthi, or the Sthula, Shukshma and the Karana Sharira, the index finger represents us, the small I, the ego Ahankara, which usually is attached with these, which is closer to these 3 fingers. The thumb is the Brahman, the ultimate reality. What one needs is to separate our small index finger from the other 3 fingers and merge towards the thumb, so that the liberation or moksha can be attained. This is the Chin Mudra, the mudra of meditation, the mudra of Jnana Yoga, which leads to the ultimate realization and enlightenment. This, in brief, is the teaching of Adi Shankaracharya. If I have made any mistakes in my presentation, I seek sincere forgiveness from the Jagat Guru. I am just onto the path trying to understand what he is taught. Thank you for your kind attention, and may the God bless everyone.